Good to see you.
Yes, sir. How's your bride?
Oh, she's doing good. Doing good.
See, man. Coming. Yeah, she's everybody's just left.
You need to get Will here. Hello? Hello? Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, at 7 o'clock.
Got it. Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the public hearing of the Irmo Town Council. I'd like to call a public hearing to order on ordinance 2113. Is there anybody here to address the council on that ordinance? Ordinance 2113, right? Yeah, 2113. Dawn Halterwanger, is she in the audience? Are you here to address us about the ordinance? You signed up for the speak. All right, and Anik LaCorder, are you here to address us about the ordinance? Come on. Let us know what you need to let us know.
Good evening.
Talking to the mic, please, and let us know where you're from. I appreciate it.
I live at 76 Muskrat Run, and my family and I have always lived in the District 5 area. We've raised 3 children here. In fact, I've served on boards with some of the members of your council, and I strongly object to having the property zone as multi-family or addition of development. I feel that there is excessive development in the area at the moment. We have had addition of several developers on my street. There are all kinds of construction going on. It's impossible to make a left-hand turn off of Salem Church Road going on Highway 6. Most days. We do not have a traffic light, and there is no way we're going to have a traffic light because there's one not too far. And I just think overall we need to preserve the aspect of the area around Lake Murray, and I believe Lexington County has taken some measures to that effect to preserve the quality of life, the property values in that area. And I would very much like to emphasize that Lake Murray is a huge draw for Irmo and the surrounding areas, and we need to be appropriately concerned about development of whether commercial or other developments that are going to encroach on the area of Lake Murray.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that did not sign up that wants to address council public hearing on the annexation of? Nobody? Then I will close the public hearing, and I will bring the regular Irmo Town Council meeting to order. This is the January 18th, 2022 meeting of the Irmo Town Council. For all you that are new, you're being video recorded and broadcast live over the internet. So when you do come and address council and you speak at the microphone, will you please speak slowly and clearly and give us your name and address and where you are living, and also if you were talking about any of the issues we're going to be voting on tonight, if you would let me know what those what the ordinances you're talking about. In the meantime, Mrs. Sickinger, will you do the pledge of allegiance and invocation, please? Please stand.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, thank you that we can come together and assume safety, and pray that you guide our choices tonight to do the best for the town of Irmo and the people of Irmo. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. We have the reading of the minutes that was electronically sent to council, the minutes from December 7th, 2021. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
No second.
Are there any modifications or changes to those minutes? Ms. Wallman, did you find anything? Okay. All right. All in favor of the minutes as written, please say aye.
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 All opposed? None, it's unanimous. The minutes from December 14th, 2021, they were sent to us electronically. Is there a motion for approval?
I move that we approve the minutes of the December 14th, 2021 meeting.
Is there a second?
No second.
Okay, thank you. And are there any modifications to those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Report of standing, administrative briefing. Mr. Dennis, do you have anything for us as administrative briefing?
No, sir.
Any changes?
Added in the briefing.
Right. All right, council, do we have any changes for Mr. Dennis? There was two things that we need to modify, and what I'd like to do is I can tell you what they are, and I don't want to amend the agenda. I'd rather go and when we get to that in the actual new business portion of our meeting, is to make those changes in the form of an amendment to that particular ordinance. Okay. One of them is we typoed the date of an ordinance item B, ordinance 2202. When you look at the ordinance, we mistyped the date on that from the 22nd of February to the 15th. It should be. In ordinance D, in the new business ordinance D, or approval D, it's supposed to be 53,500, and we have 53,000. So again, when we get to those, I'll make a motion to amend those two ordinances, okay? Otherwise, Mr. Sickinger, do we have any new businesses in the town of Irmo?
Yes, Mayor, we do. And this is what we do every time a new business registers, a little bit of give back and public recognition from the dais, if you will. We have Affirmations Med Spa and El Jimador 5 on Lake Murray Boulevard.
It's called El Jimador Cinco.
Jimador.
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 El Jimador Cinco. And I can't wait to try them out. Thank you. Amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none. Consideration of communications. We have a couple of things. Council, will you join me down here? One of the things we do as a council is every month we have the ability to recognize our businesses in Irmo, and this is one of the things we do. And so this month's business of the month is David's Fine Jeweler. Now, I didn't get your name, sir.
I'm Matt Baldwin.
Matt Baldwin. Matt from David's Fine Jeweler. In recognition, this is a presentation to you, in recognition of being a small business of the month for the town of Irmo for the month of January 2022, we'd like to give you this plaque in recognition of it. Yeah. And David, if you can tell us a few things about your business and how long you've been here and that kind of thing.
I grew up, my name is Matt.
Matt.
I grew up here in Irmo. I graduated in 1988, grew up in Coldstream. Took the business over from my dad in 1992 and been running it for the last almost 30 years over here at Murraywood Center.
Cool.
So, been a good run. It's been an honor to be a part of the community here. So really do appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all very much. Good to see you. Thank you.
I'm sure Ms. Walker would like to visit you sometime soon, so. I'd like to also recognize, where is he at? There he is. Representative Chip Huggins, if you would come up here, Chip, and he has a special presentation for us, and I'd like to see what that is. Thank you. You talk. Thank you, Chip.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I do know that the First Lady would like to go to David's and pick out that new diamond for their anniversary. So anyway, I want to thank you all, Mayor, this awesome town council that we have, and certainly welcome new member and members. So we're grateful for your service and everything you do. You know, we've been blessed for a long time in Irmo to have unbelievable chiefs of police. And I can tell you that when you put your flashers on going down the middle of the road, they let you know it, which is such a great thing because we're safe because of them. We wouldn't have a town, let alone a community, if it wasn't for our police. Just like we wouldn't have if we didn't have the best superintendent in the district, which is Dr. Akil Ross, who's here tonight. Thank him for all he does. But, you know, because of this pandemic, I didn't have the opportunity to certainly recognize someone that has done so much for the last 20 years, is continuing to do more now in the administrative role, and certainly with Chief Dale being at the helm, Irmo is in outstanding hands. But Chief Dennis, if you'll come forward for just a moment, I'd like to present this to you. You know, we are so fortunate, and I don't know how many of you in here know this unbelievable gentleman, but his service is unbelievable. When he was chief, you could not ask for, oh my goodness, response, and I probably drove you crazy, and I still do. But now it's as the administrator, and I can't thank you enough, but I'm just going to point out a couple of things I think that are just so special in this. And, you know, whereas in 2001, Chief Dennis began his career with the Irmo Police Department as a reserve police officer. He was hired as a full-time patrol officer in 2002. He worked his way through the ranks and served in a variety of positions, including K-9 officer, field training officer, evidence custodian, patrol corporal, patrol sergeant, investigation sergeant, and ultimately captain of the Irmo Police Department. Ironically, this morning I had breakfast with former Chief Brian Buck, who is now Judge Brian Buck. But if you look at every one of these folks and their decorations and all the service they have given to law enforcement in our community, it is the pinnacle. And we're so blessed to have and every one of them. Kim is, we're thankful for her for letting you serve and your whole family. But as I told you, the warmer weather will come. You can go fishing again. Enjoy that sun and everybody that you've got, and we're appreciative of your family letting you do what you do. But this is a resolution on behalf of the House and the Senate. It's concurrent, and it congratulates you. It wishes you Godspeed in your new endeavor as the administrator of the town of Irmo, and thank you for your service, sir, for everything you do. Thank you.
Want to say something?
Sure. You know, I've always enjoyed this town, lived here for over 30 years, and I'm just very lucky and fortunate to not only have a supportive wife and family, but a supporting town, and it's been a fantastic ride, so I just enjoyed everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Great, thank you very much. Moving along, under consideration communication, we have an update from Ms. Marie Ryan from the Irmo Friars Gate Skate Park. We've all received her presentation. Now, so I want to remind you, you have 3 minutes to make this presentation. If it's going to be longer, I'll invite you to come back to our workshop and we'll let you take as much time as you need, but I can't hear you. You got to take your mask off.
17 slides, so we're going to have to start moving.
Yeah, either that or
I'm
Johnny
Johnny right now.
Rindau? Okay.
First thing we want to talk about is just some of the milestones that we did so far. We've met, we've met with Andre Tabor from Tony Hawk's organization
Can you hear him?
for the skate park project.
Okay, hold on a second, Johnny. Can y'all get that microphone working, please?
Yeah, we're still talking over it.
I'm sorry, your time's up.
Okay. All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we just want to go over some of the milestones we've hit. First one is we've met with Andre Taylor from Tony Hawk's organization. Marie went out to California with them, kind of toured the facilities, talked about what we're trying to do here in Irmo. Another thing we've done is held a silent auction to raise money. We raised some money through that. We've applied for several grants. A few examples are the T-Mobile Hometown Grant, Costco Grant, and Shaw's Industry Grant. We've received donations from Great Southern Homes, met with the Youth Zone, which is a
It's an after-school nonprofit
After-school.
program that we had a skate day with. We've done we did an event there. We also submitted the Tony Hawk grant, and we were invited to apply for their full grant, so we are waiting to hear on that.
which is $75,000.
$75,000. Normally, they give $10,000 to $25,000. We were invited to apply up to $300,000. However, Andre from their organization told me, to 75 was probably going to be the max for them on that. We did get an award from them. We're supposed to hear at the end of the month by January 31st from them. They did, in that packet, there is a letter of support that Tony Hawk Foundation wrote to us. Some of the funding issues that we've had is your largest funding source is going to be state and federal government. The joint use agreement is an issue because it does not give us permission to build a skate park as written. It also has the wrong address. So that's kind of held us up on that, and that I think is on slide 4, is the joint use agreement. Okay, it's the next one. But you can see on that agreement. Let's see.
Next slide.
There you go.
Thank
You can see on that agreement, well, it's real small on your copy, but you can see on the agreement that it doesn't include a skate park, so it makes it hard for us to obtain funding because capital improvement projects that this would be considered require that the entire scope of the project, if you don't own the land, they want details. So that's been an issue. But we started an initiative, and that's on the next slide, called Beyond the Board. And it's just basically how the skate park is going to benefit the community. You've got a lot of the after-school programs are cut in their capacity. They're only taking half of the kids they were taking. So this is a free activity that kids can go out. We're partnered with Blue Tile Skate Shop, and they're going to give everybody boards and helmets and all that stuff. So that's another way to help the community out for kids that need something to do that's productive after school. And the next couple of slides are from the day that we had at the youth zone. We've donated 30 boards, some pads, some helmets, and Thomas from our committee built these features which will go in the parking lot for the kids to get acclimated to skateboarding until the skate park is finished. The next couple of slides, that's us stressing everybody out. The mayor was there, Councilman Danielson was also there. You will see the kids' joy for skateboarding. I've never seen, it was amazing. The event was really amazing. All of the kids had a blast. And right there is a quote just from another skater who was there, just about our community and how much everybody got involved. We had sponsors from the community, Todd Cumlander Insurance, to Lowe's, to Councilman Danielson, to all of us on the committee have also put in our own money to support that day and these kids and this project. Then we've got a picture of the mayor and Councilman Danielson with everybody. It was a great day.
I didn't get on a skate. You didn't see me on a skateboard.
We agreed that if
Okay.
I get on it, you'll get on it. So, I mean, at the next event, then we're gonna do that.
You made promises at the start of this thing, Mary.
And here's some of the partnerships we have. And we just wanted to let you know what we've done to, because of the issues with funding, we've actually partnered with a group called Access Philanthropy. And all they do is help nonprofits gain funding through private foundations and corporations. We are not paying for this. This is somebody that's decided to help our organization out. But their information is there, and I've already sent everything over to them. We did apply for the grant through the town, and we are working on a grant right now that's called Sky Foundation. It's due at the end of the month, and Matt is assisting me with that, so that's where we're at.
Cool. Are there any questions for them, folks? Are y'all have any questions? Council? Well, you did it. You got us under 5 minutes, so thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation. One thing I'd like to mention to you is that we're gonna fix the MOU or the agreement this week, and the skate park will be included in that, and the address will be corrected. So that document that you showed on your slide there, I think that was done back in January or something.
May of last year.
May, yeah, that's been updated or will be updated officially Thursday.
That'll help us tremendously. I
Yeah,
think.
that's kind of held us up, so.
Say it again?
That's been a barrier for us as far as funding, because nobody wants to be responsible for giving somebody money to build on land that they don't have the right to build on.
I got you. I got you. Yeah.
If I'm a member of the community watching this on YouTube or here in the room tonight and think that this is a excellent organization to contribute or support, how can I find out more information about how to do that?
On our Instagram or our Facebook page, you can send a message there. My phone number is also usually on some of the flyers, but I will also give that to you.
Friars Gate Skate Park on the social media. Just reach out, private message or whatever, and we'll get back.
Great, thank
We'll
you.
also be holding events, kind of. We were going to do one what? We partnered with Vans. They were going to give out shoes, but with COVID spreading, we've kind of pushed that back. We'll put out the new dates once we know, and
We would like everybody in the community to come out and
If you want to come and
support.
check it out, come check it out.
So all the kids have good shoes to skate with, so that'll be, the shoes are actually here, but once things die down again, I guess we're gonna give them out then, so.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we need to look at all those grants that we got, and this being one of them at the next workshop, which is what date, Courtney?
The first.
All right. You got your mic back, or you got the mic working? Thank you. February 1st is our next workshop.
Correct.
So on that workshop, I'd like to look at this grant as well as the other ones we've received. Just kind of discuss them, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. One other receipt of communications, and this is something that just came out from the Washington, D.C. As you know, we have a COVID testing site here in Irmo at our town park. And I don't know if you've been down there lately, but the line's been wrapped around Carlisle Street, down Columbia Avenue, of people waiting to get tested for COVID. Well, the federal government is sending out 4 free test kits to everybody in the United States that wants them. The link, Courtney, I got the link. Can we put that on our town website somewhere? Or if Mia, if we can have a email sent out and Facebook posts or whatever, we can share it. But I'd like to get that link out to everybody in Irmo who follows us. You go to the link, I did it, filled out your name and address, and they are supposed to send you 4 free at-home test kits. So again, to try to give you information and give us tools to combat COVID, the Omicron variant, all those things, take advantage of it, Irmo. It doesn't cost you a dime. You got to do a little homework, but I think it'll be well worth it. This is a presentation by, are there any more receipt of communications? Okay. This is a presentation by citizens on agenda items we're about to talk to. We have several people who signed up and to speak on that. And I'd like to, we just have Dr. Ross and Dr. Johnson. That's all I have. To speak on the agenda items that we're about to discuss. Mr. Johnson, Dr. Ross. Dr. Ross. By the way, congratulations, Dr. Akil Ross, for being named the permanent superintendent of schools in Lexington District 5. As you know, Barb, you're our liaison to Lexington District 5, and so I am more than ecstatic to now have somebody who, Barb, you have a direct connection to, and we have a direct connection to. Thank you. Congratulations again.
Thank you, and Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we certainly appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Heart at Youth Zone. As you heard, we have a lot of organizations that are becoming a part of this. And prior to becoming superintendent or interim superintendent, the Heart at Youth Zone was a passion of mine, and so many of you helped to make this a reality. And so now that we are up and running with the help of Pastor Johnson and his staff, we come to the council helping us in terms of extending what we call the runway of our finance until we get to other sustainable sources. One of which we're excited to announce, and Dr. Johnson can talk a little bit about it, is being ABC voucher qualified. And so this organization basically starting out working with the DSS. We find other sources of incomes that will help us. So we're excited about this partnership. We're excited about now in my new role what School District 5 can bring to this. And we think this will be a model for how schools and communities and municipalities can operate to make sure we put a zone of protection around our children. We know that if we have them engaged after school in meaningful, engaging work, what it will do in turning around, and not only just in education, but in the value of the citizenry that we produce. So we just wanted to speak to that today.
Thank you. Again, good to be back with you again. I'm Alonzo Johnson. I'm at 316 Steeple Crest North, Irmo. On behalf of the Youth Zone, just to underscore that we appreciate the concern that you have for the work of the zone, and I've talked to each of you individually, and want to underscore just two things. As Dr. Ross said, we don't intend just for this program to be a program that sucks up public resources and doesn't contribute back. And that is why early on we were seeking DSS recognition, and we've gotten full recognition as a DSS ABC quality program as of last week, and can now bill for the services we offer to some of our children. I'll also want you to understand that this program is a job creator. We are not talking about creating jobs. We have created jobs. We have sustained the creation of jobs. And so we're not asking whether or not this will work. We've seen it work. And so we just thank you for embracing it up to this point. And what we also hope is that you will see that we are partners and we are not fly-by-night, a flash in the pan. We're here connected to this community and connected to these children and families, and hope that council will see us as doing that going forward, as there will be many things that we will be doing in the future that will require collaboration with the school district, with the town, our law enforcement communities, and otherwise. So thank you for considering us, and certainly we hope that you would consider our needs in terms of immediate concerns that we have. We've been turning people away since before Thanksgiving, simply because we've kind of run out of staff, out of funding. Dr. Ross was great in raising funding that got us long ways down the road, but we've long since gone past that. And so we look forward to whatever you do for us, and we thank you in advance and look forward. And inviting each of you, some of you have been there, Mel Walker, Mr. Bush has been there, Mr. Danielson's been there several times, inviting all of you to come down and see what we are doing and know that this is a program that looks to serve the community going forward. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to address council on agenda items? You didn't sign up, that's okay. Anybody else would like to address council? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna go on unfinished business. Second reading of ordinance 2113. This is to annex the parcel that we just heard about, had a public hearing on. 7.7 acres on Muskrat Run. We're just annexing the property in first, and then under new business, we're gonna pass the first reading, if it passes, to give it the proper zoning it needs. So is there a motion for second reading? Is there a motion? I'll make a motion. Is there a second? Is there a second reading motion?
I'll second.
Huh? Second it? Okay. I made the motion, Mr. Sickinger seconded. All right. Again, this is the parcel on Muskrat Run. They would like to annex that land into the town of Irmo. I don't mind doing that. I think that that's a good move to annex land in the town of Irmo. I think the question is what we're going to give it the zoning for that. and that's what we're going to work on in the new business. So that's what I have to say. Mr. Signature?
Yeah, I think it's important, two items on this, which is, and I think, without beating a dead horse, I mean, you covered it, right? There are two distinct items here.
Right.
One is, should a parcel be in the town? And second, what should be the designation of that land, which is a future decision in the agenda. I'm generally in favor of annexation, and I don't. It doesn't necessarily benefit us, but at the same time, if someone wants to be a part of our little club here in the town, I have a hard time saying no to that specific request.
Okay, Mr. Danielson?
I just have a question for Chief. Would this put any kind of extra strain on our force to be patrolling out there since we're contiguous anyway?
I don't believe so. We've got some area already out that way that we go to, so I don't see where it would create an extended response time or anything like that.
Thank you.
Well,
Mr. Bush?
I'm in favor of the annexation. The chief's answered the question on if it's going to tax our resources anymore. So, in favor.
Ms. Wallman?
I'm in favor of this.
Okay. All right, will the clerk read a roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. Okay, thank you. It's passed unanimously. All right. Under new business, item A, this is the first reading of ordinance 2201, and that's to add the zoning designation of single-family residential, RS, to the property we just annexed. I believe it went to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission gave us that recommendation if this is the proper zoning for that piece of dirt. So I make a motion that we have first reading. Is there a second?
I'll second for conversation.
Okay, Mrs. Sickinger. All right. Again, this went to the Planning Commission. They had their meeting, they debated it, they talked about it, and they said that the best possible zoning for this 7.7 acres contiguous to the town is RS, which is single-family residential. What that means is that they can build 4 houses per acre and on that property. So as far as if they were building single-family houses, it is not going to be a burden, I don't think, to the area. Again, that's just my impression, but I can be swayed in the next 3 or 4 minutes. That'll be roughly 30 houses that they would put on that piece of land contiguous to the town. Again, they requested zoning, they requested to be annexed in, and they requested this zoning to be debated, and that's what we came up with. Mr. Sickinger?
So I think single-family residential is a low burden generally on roads, sewer. You know, we're talking about 28 to 30, something low 30 homes. My question would be, should this fail, and this votes as a no, then what happens? Point of
If it fails,
point
then
of clarification. Yeah.
It would go back to Planning Commission to revisit it. I mean, at some point, a zoning designation's got to be assigned to it.
Of course. And so, for further clarification, what was the original request that came to the Planning Commission?
The request on the annexation asked for RG, general residential. Planning Commission debated it at their meeting and talked about density and roads and sewer and other impacts to the area. and they landed on an RS, which has the least density.
So just for, again, and of course, this is really primarily for the public, but I think it's important conversation. So if we vote no on this, it goes back to the planning commission. They could come back and recommend RG and, or general residential, and then perhaps a higher density.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Courtney, does this have, and do we even know if this suggested zoning has any impact on the sale of this property?
Zoning would have impact to the value of property. You know, obviously, commercial properties.
Has the owner told us that
No.
this won't sell under this scenario?
No. I mean, that hadn't been brought to my attention.
Okay. Just, again, for just notification for the public out there, this effectively is going to kill what's being planned out there right now.
Yeah, there is a plan proposal in that general area,
Right.
including this piece of property, but this is the only thing that's left on the table at the moment.
Right. Just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that.
Mr. Bush?
Mr. Dennis, do you know if there's an actual, like a preliminary plat of how they plan to divide this up, or if that's?
On this particular piece?
Yeah, on this piece.
This piece is just one partial, and, you know, no, we don't have any conceptual designs of what they plan on doing with it. Right now, you know, we've just received the petition for annexation, which second reading has passed, so that property is within the town of Irmo. The next course of business is to give it a zoning designation. From there, we'll decide, I'm sure, how they move forward. Right now, it's completely undeveloped. It's trees.
I assume under Richland County, it's zoned agriculture, or rural, RU?
It was RU is where it came out of Richland.
Thank you.
RU is agriculture, meaning it can have chickens and all that stuff.
Well, that, but one dwelling per acre. So, in
Right.
7 acres, if you minus a road, easement, things like that, you're
Right.
looking at 7 homes, maybe.
7 homes?
7, roughly,
Okay.
give or take. Yeah, one other question, and is that served, do you know if that's utility serviced by Blue Granite?
That area is. I'm not sure exactly about that piece of property, but I'm highly confident it is.
Thanks.
All right, Dr. Ballman?
Yes, I have a question for Chief Dale. Would the development of 32 homes in that area put any additional burden on the Irmo Police Department?
Just like Councilman Daniels said earlier, asked the question about the second reading ordinance 2113. I don't see where this would be any different. We already have contiguous property in that area, and when you're just talking about 32 versus 300 and some, I think the number is fine how it is now. But if you were talking about adding hundreds and hundreds of properties, then it'd be a little different story.
Thank you.
That's it? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can I have a comment?
Yeah, I was going to ask you a clarification question too, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Just want everyone to know that I live a stone's throw from this property, so I think I hate to tell this to the folks at Muskrat, but this property is going to be developed. This is prime property. Somebody's going to grab this thing up. And what we're doing here, if this passes, is we're putting a finger in the dam for right now, based on what we feel we can serve from our asset base. So I just want to let you know that something's going to come sooner or later, and it's going to stress that road. It's going to stress everything out there, and especially from a water and sewer scenario and a traffic scenario. So I am not generally in favor of sitting at the entrance of my subdivision for 35 minutes to get out. So I feel your pain. I know where you are, but I think this is going to be, something's going to come at some point that we won't be able to put a stop to. So just FYI.
And thank you, Mr. Danielson. That's sort of a clarification question I wanted to have. and you brought up something pretty good too, Mr. Sickinger. If this passes tonight, the first reading passes tonight, the zoning designation will be RS. If we don't pass this tonight as RS, then they are allowed to go back to the planning commission and say, hey, debate this again and give us a different zoning clarification. And I suspect the planning commission will diligently work to accommodate them if they can find enough votes on the planning commission to do it. But they could possibly come back to us with a RG zoning if they want to, if they do. Is that what you were saying?
That is what I was saying, and I think the important clarification point on that is the density that's allowed in RG versus RS.
Okay.
Just to be clear.
You could simply defer any vote tonight if you wanted to, and refer the matter back to the planning commission for further study and a report. You don't have to vote on it tonight.
I get it, but then Mr. Danielson pointed out that if we don't act on it now, we're putting a quote-unquote finger in the dike. We are giving it a zoning designation that I think that the council can live with, and I hope the school district can live with, and Blue Granite can service. Those are things we don't know. Even if we give them a zoning RS, 4 houses per acre, they try to put 30 houses on there. Will Blue Granite accommodate them with the sewer service? We don't know. And quite frankly, it ain't our purview, okay? But at least we know that they're never gonna build more than 4 houses per acre on that piece of real estate, based on the present zoning, okay? Any other comments? Will the clerk read the roll?
Mr. Bush,
Yes.
Mr. Danielson,
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger,
Yes.
Dr. Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Walker.
Yes. All right, we'll go for second reading at our next meeting. And again, the zoning will be RS, which is residential single family. Next item on our business, first reading ordinance 2202, distribution of funds. We sent this to us electronically, and we worked on it. Dr. Waldman and Mr. Sickinger and I, we both looked at it and formulated a opinion of how this particular ordinance should read. Is there a motion for first reading? I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Is there a second for first reading?
I'll second.
Okay, so moves in second. Again, this whole ordinance is basically in response to the American Rescue Plan that we have received. We have approximately $5 million. We don't have an amount that we designated for nonprofits, but the town has a $5 million earmark grant from the federal government that we are going to be doling out grants to nonprofits. One of the things we did not have in our ordinance is a requirement that the nonprofits that receive this money, whether it's coming from hospitality tax, accommodations tax, American Rescue Plan, Town of Irmo General Fund, or any other state and local funds distributed through the town, that these recipients have to give us a report on how that money was spent. And attached to this is a form. I don't know if you have it on your screen, but we came up with a form that gives them an idea of what the reporting form looks like. Do you have that or not? Okay, well, it's in our packet. We put a form together. This is what the form came up with that we looked at. Everybody's seen that? And I think this is something we need to have in place. We did not have it in place when we gave out the first tranche of grant money, but I think we need to have this in place so that we can have reports coming to the town on a timely basis. Okay, Dr. Waldman?
I support this ordinance because I think we do need to have some code that addresses accountability for tax dollars that are distributed through the town, whether they're to nonprofits or to for-profit businesses, regardless of the source, whether it's hospitality tax or accommodation tax or ARPA funding or whatever. I'm not sure that the exact wording that's in this particular ordinance is what we might want as the final wording, but I support this general concept.
Okay, Mr. Bush?
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. We definitely need to have accountability. Again, maybe in a workshop, we could hack out some more detailed language. I know, like, when I look at the form, it just kind of date and category, and maybe we need to kind of have some, like, finite categories versus, just because kind of when you leave it open to general interpretation, you get general input. So, if we could, like, narrow down some of the details, I think that.
Categories on the report?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, okay.
it's basic and that's good, but I think when you leave it too general without, like some detailed requirements, that we could get just about anything there.
Okay. Mr. Danielson?
Yeah, I'm in full agreement that we should have something in the ordinances, although this EAR report, I don't know where it came from or who generated it, but it has no teeth. It really is way too general. If I get $50,000, I just spent 10 grand on payroll. I spent 4,000 on a walk-in freezer. There's no ramifications if you don't. I mean, you can't get another grant for a year or something. There's no teeth in this thing. So if we're going to do it, let's do it right and have them provide a general ledger accounting for every dime spent. That's the only way you can do this and do it legitimately. Just my opinion.
On the report, on the ERA report. Okay, got it. Mr. Sickinger?
Yeah, I am certainly in favor of the spirit, and I think you and I have had conversations to that effect. I still have issue with, let's see, I forget, I don't recall the exact, may be requested at any time by any member of council, mayor or town administrator. I think there's probably no more than once a quarter kind of thing that can happen there. I just don't want us to give a good charity money or nonprofit or whoever recipient money and then have, because it turned political, have members of a future council, not that anyone on this council would do this, but have a future council harass that person in a way that would make life uncomfortable for them. And I echo the thoughts on the others. I mean, I'm fine. This is a first reading, right? So
Yeah.
I'm fine moving it forward to a second reading and then working in perhaps the coming workshop to work out some of the proposed amendments.
Okay, so just for clarification of my point, we can get this through the first reading, and then by second reading, which will happen after our workshop, we'll iron out the reporting details that you're saying that we need to iron out and have more teeth or have more, not so general, but have specifics in there, Mr. Bush, Mr. Danielson. And then also we can have the language that you're looking for. We can modify this, amend this to have the language you're looking for. Is that an agreement? All right. Will the clerk read a roll, please?
Mr. Bush,
Yes.
Mr. Danielson,
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger,
Yes.
Dr. Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Walker.
Yes, and I have to make one other, maybe at the next meeting. On the bottom of this, it says passed and adopted on the 22nd day of February 2022. It should have said the 15th day of February 2022. So
That is actually just a administrative, it doesn't have to go through, getting a second
council vote on it?
an amendment.
Amendment,
That's
okay.
something we can do.
Okay, so you're going to administratively take care of that for me?
Yep.
Thank you, clerk. I appreciate that very much. All right. Well, then it's unanimous then. Thank you very much. We unanimously passed first reading. We'll have second reading in February, and we'll make those appropriate changes at that time. Approval of a memorandum of understanding. And again, here we have this typo.
Mayor, it's item C.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I skip over one? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. First, item C, thank you very much. Let me put my glasses on. Item C, to change the due date of the local hospitality payments from the 15th of the month to the 20th of the month. Again, I'll make the motion for first reading.
Second.
Mr. Sickinger seconded. What this is we have a hospitality tax now, and everybody in Lexington County is cool with it. Everybody in Richland County had a hospitality tax that was due on the 20th of the month. And now they have to have a hospitality tax that's due on the 15th and a hospitality tax that's due on the 20th. All we're doing is saying that we're going to align our hospitality tax with the 20th of the month, which all of their accounting firms basically are sending out hospitality checks on the 20th, and we'd like to be in line with them. It's very a housekeeping thing, nothing major. It's 5 days. We'll get our hospitality tax that we've been getting. We smooth it so we'll be in line with the rest of the county, and then people in Richland County and Lexington County are all due on the same day. Mr. Sickinger?
I have nothing.
Okay. Mr. Danielson? Mr. Danielson?
No, I'm fine with that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Bush?
If it makes it anyhow easier for local business, I'm for it.
All right. And Dr. Wellman?
I support it too.
Okay, great. Will the clerk read the roll?
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Danielson?
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, in the amount of $53,000. I'd like to make a motion for approval of the memorandum, and we'll make a motion to amend that.
I will second.
Mr. Sickinger, seconded. All right. I'd like to make a motion that we amend that amount from $53,000 to $53,500. That's the amount it should have been, and we're just counting error.
I'll second that.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, clerk read a roll on the amendment, please.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Danielson?
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. Great. So now the amount is $53,500. And is there a motion, is there a motion for approval of the memorandum of understanding?
We already did that.
Well, I mean,
Now we're in discussion.
the discussion of that, sorry. Mr. Sickinger,
Yeah.
you had most talk, I don't know.
I do have the most to say about this.
Okay.
Most things, actually. So this, I was excited when this came through because we're finally doing something that I do in my day job. So the basically offsetting local and putting it into a kind of a centralized database with SCJB. Just for the council's sake and for the public's sake, I had a ton of security questions around the data and how it was stored and all of those kinds of things. And I was frankly surprised with the quality of the answers. The only concern is still something that I have is the amount for the data conversion. That's an incredible amount of money for data conversion. How many years are we converting into that system?
I'm not sure exactly how many years it is, but it's whatever's in our database, which I know goes back to the 90s. I'm not sure how many years, though, that they would be converting. On a recent conference call, they did mention that they don't anticipate it going over that amount. That's why they capped it at that amount. They actually think more realistically it's in the $30,000 range, but the contract is based on time and an hourly rate not to exceed.
Okay. I got to ask you a question because you're the computer whiz on the council, and I used to be in the computer business. So when we had to do a data conversion from an old system to a new system, they get a dump from the old system. It comes in a big ASCII file. And then we write a program that says, read that ASCII file and move it around, and it has to be in a format that needs for the new database, and then write that record out. That's a one-time shot program that may take you, any good program, would take them 8 hours to write a program like that, a batch program to write that. That's what these people are saying they're gonna do with all the records from the 90s, right, forward? Okay. How long does that take now
So I think probably the best analog to the task at hand is, and I can only reference the work that I do, but that data conversion or data migration, the highest I've seen on that is 20,000, but typically we're talking years of 3, 4, 5 years worth of data and not 30. So at that point, you're talking less about the original setup, but also the processor time and the server time. So it's not unreasonable if it came in around between 30 and 40. That wouldn't be crazy. And then I think the other side of the question is that 3,500, which is beyond fair for their annual hosting.
All right. And as a mainframe programmer, which is what I was, we were going through the millennial change from 1900 to 2000, and running in all the software we had written for years for insurance companies. The fear was when it went to 2000, it was going to read it like 1900, and then all those programs are going to fail. So I get it. You have to write a program. It has to be tested. It has to be checked out. But once you write the program one time, it's a matter of applying that, getting that dump from the old one and putting it into the new one. I don't see how it's going to be $53,000 in ongoing maintenance for that. Did I read that wrong? Or?
Yeah, it'll be likely. I expect that the data conversion will cost between 30 and 40,000, but we have it in contract not to exceed 50. Although if I got a contract not to exceed 50, I don't know about any other business that would not try to get as close as possible to that amount of money. However, setting that aside, we're talking after that an annual fee of $3,500 for service support, hosting, and maintenance.
Okay. Is that reasonable?
Beyond reasonable.
Okay. Great. Mr. Danielson? Mr. Bush?
Yeah, I have a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
My question is there, what's the retention policy on case information? I mean, do we really need a closet full of stuff that goes back 30 years or like?
Yeah, there are some things required by law that we keep indefinite, some.
Right,
some
but I
arrest
mean, is
records.
all of the data required indefinitely? Or if I got a parking ticket 3 years ago or 23 years ago, do I need to keep that information? Like, I don't know exactly specifically what they're converting, but.
Well, I'm sure that.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, Martha Stewart says get rid of it after 7 years. Do we need 32 years if my math is right?
We have retention policies that are set by the state, and we purge a lot of stuff.
So this is
throughout
the purge data that we're moving.
I mean, it's archived data that we've got to have.
All right.
Dr. Wallman?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. I've answered all my questions. Any more, Mr. Signer?
Just to say that I think $3,500 is worth the cost of us not being responsible for the data retention and security. That alone is worth that without a doubt, and probably make up for it over the course of a couple of years.
All right. Will the clerk read the roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Danielson?
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
Mayor Walker?
Yes. Thank you. Item E, approval of the 2022 orchestra budget in the amount of $143,500. And I don't know if you were at the orchestra meeting, but the Commissioner Lindauer explained in detail, and we have the budget in front of us, explains in detail what they're planning on doing. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Mr. Sickinger, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Dr. Wallman. All right. Mr. Sickinger.
I'm generally in favor and like to follow the guidelines that they put in place. The adjustments seem reasonable to me, and there are things possibly that might need to be ironed out over time as we get closer to the actual event, but as a guideline, I'm okay with it.
Okay, Dr. Wallman?
Yes, I was in attendance at the meeting where Mr. Lindauer explained this budget to the commission, and I'm satisfied with his explanation of his estimates of costs.
Okay, Mr. Bush?
It looks generally reasonable. It would be great if this year we could break even on this thing.
Okay, and Mr. Danielson?
I got a lot of heartburn with this budget, but it's not that we could, or I could argue for any particular line item. I was hoping that a larger number was going to go into the entertainment, and that would be included into the 143, and there was a little bit bigger number in there because we met with them to try to get a little bit better band action here. But yeah, generally it's a well thought out budget. I have no arguments against that. I think Mr. Lindauer's done a good job providing it. I too was in the meeting, so I'm generally in favor.
Okay, and on that note, Mr. Danielson, they got $45,000 in entertainment budget, and realistically, I think they need to be about 80, to be honest with you. But he couldn't balance that budget at 80. So what I think is going to happen, we have some opportunities to raise. We have 10 acres additional to the orchestra area that Mr. Witt, Klein, and everybody in Town Hall has promised us that will be ready for parking, additional on-site parking by the September date. That could be a possible revenue source for us, which we could then use that to foster into a better entertainment budget. Again, if we get, and I'm not trying to put too much pressure on the orchestra, but if they get Molly Hatchet to play, and it costs $60,000, Molly Hatchet's a band from the 70s, anybody, if you don't know who that was. If we get them to play and we're going to increase the number of people that come out to see them, it might be worth it to do that because we got the parking to hold it, we got the real estate to host it, and it would be a great event. But again, I'm trusting them to come up with some bigger entertainment this year because they got the dirt to do it.
The other thing that I wanted to comment on was I think the second stage is going to be a big add. The fact that we've got room now to have this second stage, and from what I understand, we've got some pretty good ideas for that. So I think that's going to bring in more people. So that's a big deal, and that's all part of the park expansion.
Right. Anybody else? Any more comments? Will the clerk read the roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Danielson?
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes, thank you. All right. Approval to award $200,000 from the ARPA funds to the Heart Ed Youth Zone, and I'll make a motion for that approval. Is there a second? Is there a second for approval of awarding $200,000 to the ARPA money, discussion to give money to the Youth Zone? This is the organization that we went to and asked them to help us. Is there a second? No second? Then the approval of awarding the $200,000 fails for a lack of a second. Moving on, appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have one opening on the ZBA, and we have two citizens, I believe, that have applied for it. We had that in our packet. Did you put it up on, you didn't put that up? No? Okay. We have Mr. Art McLean and Thank you. I didn't get that for Joseph Murphy. All right. I spoke to Art McLean, and he's in the audience tonight. He reached out to me and asked me about appointment to the ZBA, and he said he's willing to serve and he has a time. I also reached out to Mr. Joseph Murphy, and he said, you can look at his resume, he's got extensive planning commission experience. So Mr. Murphy said, since there's an opening now on the planning commission, he would like to put his application towards that, the planning commission.
Point of whatever. Would you mind repeating that? I want
Okay.
to hear that one more time. I'm sorry.
I spoke to both Mr. Art McLean and Mr. Murphy. There's only 2 applications for the ZBA. Mr. McLean is wanting to serve on the ZBA, and I'm be more than happy to make that motion to do, or a nomination to do that. Mr. Murphy, Joseph Murphy, also wanted to be on the ZBA, but he also put on his application to be on the planning commission. And now we have a opening on the planning commission that we're advertising for. So I would like to put Mr. McLean on ZBA and then leave Mr. Murphy for the planning commission, which he also reached out to me and talked about. That was my suggestion, and
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that Mr. McLean be appointed.
okay,
I'll second that.
second, all right. Any more nominations for ZBA? Okay, well, all in favor of appointing Mr. Art McLean to the ZBA, I guess we can just raise our hands. All opposed? No opposed. Congratulations, Mr. McLean. You are now a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the town of Irmo, South Carolina. And again, Courtney, if we can keep Mr. Murphy's application on file for the ZBA for the Planning Commission when that comes up, I appreciate it. Okay? All right. At this point, this is a presentation by citizens. Again, this is the point where you can come and speak to us about anything you heard tonight or anything you want to talk or comment on tonight. Is there anybody who would like to speak to the council? Come on up. Tell us your name and your address and
Okay, my name is Dawn Haltwanger, and I'm a.
take your mask off. I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm a nurse at Lexington.
Okay, I can't. We talk loud, then I can't.
Okay, I'll talk loud.
There you go.
My name is Dawn Haltwanger, and I am building on 23 Muskrat Run. And I just want a clarification on 2201. That property that you're talking about is on Salem Church Road, not Muskrat Run, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then I have another question because wastewater management, because there's several constructions going down Muskrat Run, and I am understanding in that area that blue granite is at max capacity. I and my other neighbors that are in construction right now are having to get individualized septic systems. So that is a big concern. I don't see that changing anytime soon because there's little seven house neighborhood going up, and all of them having septic systems. And I have spent $15,000 for an engineered septic system. So that area, blue granite, is maxed. So that is a concern.
And there'll be a concern for them, I'm sure. You know, they have to get sewer system for anything they build, so.
Well, that's not happening anytime soon.
Self-limiting, yeah.
So that's my biggest thing because, like I said, there are a couple constructions. And my other biggest thing is, I am concerned about traffic because I am the first address on that road. And the whole reason why this is my family land, and I am building there to get out of the town of Irmo. I'm sorry, because I live in Friarsgate, and I've had just too much problems with the creek and people. I've had to take teenagers to court. I've lived there for 11 years, and I want out, so I'm really concerned about the area because I want peace and quiet, and I want to be able to get in and out. And I know with further development in that area, like expanding roads and all like that, is that going to be a possibility? Because there's going to have to be something. If you're putting 40 houses right at Muskrat Run, how are we going to get out? Muskrat Run is just like basically a one-lane road. So that's some concerns too. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Anybody else to address council? Seeing nobody else? Going once? Okay, we'll move on then. Thank you. Discussion item. As you know, we've made some changes to the ordinance now. We have an ordinance, a pending ordinance document where any nonprofit will have to report to us where the dollars went that they're receiving from the town. And I understand that the Irmo Future Growth, under the direction of the council or the board of directors, has made some changes to their bylaws, to the Irmo Future Growth bylaws or articles of incorporation. That's fine, and I understand that y'all wanted to do that to separate yourselves from the town of Irmo. Unfortunately, all I got, or what I found out is we have received, and I just found that out today, is a resolution from the board of directors. And the resolution basically says that the town of Irmo will not be appointing the board of directors of the Irmo Future Growth. And we got this, I guess we got this on December 15th or December 16th. They had a meeting. I got a copy of the resolution. And from what I understand is at the time of this resolution, which you have every right to change that as a board of directors, I see 3 signatures on here. I don't see 4, which is a majority of the board of directors. So my question is, 2 questions, and maybe you can answer it, Mr. Sickinger, or Mr. Danielson can answer it, is the ordinance, the resolution that y'all have does not spell out, besides us not appointing your board of directors, that y'all are separating the Irmo Future Growth from the town of Irmo. There's a bunch of places in your founding documents where you're referencing the town of Irmo as being a part of the future growth. And this is only saying, your resolution is only saying that we don't have the right to appoint your board of directors anymore. And I'm okay with that. But how many people was at that meeting? If there's 3 signatures on it, that means only 3 of y'all board of directors were there present, or what? I guess you were present or not present, I don't know. This is on the 15th of December. The majority would be 4.
Okay.
So that was the first question.
Okay.
How many people were present at that meeting to do the resolution?
When that resolution was prepared,
Can you answer that, Mr. Danielson?
it was including myself, 6 people in total.
At the meeting?
I believe so. Is that right? Yeah.
Okay, well, then you need 4 signatures on there to change it. There's only 3.
That would be up to the attorney who drafted the document. Jake?
Wait a minute. Well, our attorney on the 15th of December is Will Edwards. And did Will Edwards draft this for you? Okay, well, Will Edwards is the attorney that drafted it, but it's not complete. It's only saying, referring to the appointment of the board of directors. All through your founding documents, the Future Growth founding documents, is references to the town of Irmo. If your desire is to separate the Irmo Future Growth from the town of Irmo, which I understand and I agree with, if you want to be a standalone 501c3, then there's a lot of other places in this founding document that you have to refer to as far as the relationship between the town of Irmo and the future growth. This one sentence that we're not going to appoint your board of directors is incomplete.
Have you?
And I'm talking to you two because y'all
I
both are
understand.
on the
Yeah.
board of directors.
So have you passed this concern by an attorney or the town attorney?
I just got this in the packet that we received.
Okay.
I didn't know we had this conversation. I didn't know that. Matter of fact, the letter that you got from Jake Moore suggesting that y'all break that up was on the 15th. So I guess y'all had a meeting that night, and I wasn't aware of the resolution being prepared. This is the first time hearing about this. So passing it by the attorney is not my, I mean, if that's what we have to do, I will.
Well,
But passing it by the attorney is not what I was prepared to get answered tonight.
okay, so the answer to that question is no.
I did not pass it by
Okay.
the attorney, Will Edwards.
Where did you get that document that you have in front of you that's highlighted?
It's in our packet. It's in our council packet.
Did you make those highlights, Mayor?
Beg your pardon?
Did you make those highlights on that document that you have in front of you?
Did I make what?
The highlights that are on the document in front of you.
This document here?
No, the founding documents.
The founding documents was on file in our town hall.
Right.
Right.
So I guess what I'm trying to understand
what-
is
This
if you-
this
I'm sorry,
resolution.
point of order.
Point of order.
Let
we
me
don't-
finish my thought before
Okay.
before you interject. So if you have, I have no problem if you have additional things that you'd like to make changes to ensure that there are no intertwinings between IFGC and the town. I have no problem taking those into consideration.
Okay, but again, what did y'all change, or if y'all are attempting to change that, you need to go through the entire document and change it, not just saying that we're not going to appoint your board of directors.
Okay.
Okay.
Under advice of counsel, what we were provided was that single document, and that was the change that we made under advice of counsel. So, for a lot of reasons, there's a reason why the town has an appointed attorney and can provide guidance on things like this. So, I'm happy to take that stuff under consideration.
Okay, under the advice of counsel, that's what you were told that you had to do. That's great. All right. My next point is, in the event that y'all are separating yourselves from the town, on January 5th, the Irmo Future Growth was still on our website. Now, I believe it's been changed, as y'all been removed from our web. Is that correct, Mr. Dennis? All right. So the Irmo Future Growth doesn't have any forms or anything on the town's website that ties y'all to us. All right. That's one thing that y'all did, and that's great. Or one thing is we were told to do, and we've done it. But again, we need to be completely separate. In other words, I believe that y'all need to take this total future document, a future growth document, and go through it and separate yourself from the town if that's what y'all desire to do. So that's my
Point of order
advice.
from over here, that wasn't in the packet, the actual founding documents that you're referring to. So we don't,
The packet wasn't in the document, but it is part of the Irmo Future Growth.
well, I meant for the
Founding
benefit of the council in the discussion, we don't have a copy of it, so we're not really sure what you're referring to.
Well, we can ask Mr. Dennison to pull a copy for you if you want to. I'm sure he can handle that. All right. So that's the discussion item I want to make is, what changes you're going to make to that founding documents, to separate yourselves from the town, which makes you a complete separate 501c3, which is what y'all desire to be. And again, I still want to know where the $250,000 went to, who got it, how much they got. I signed a non-disclosure, which is what I was supposed to sign, I was told to sign. I was actually told and I would have that information, and I still haven't gotten it. So, if you're not prepared to give it to me, that's fine. I will take it to the next step, but again, please, I would beg you to release that information to me, if not to whoever else has asked for it.
Okay, thank you. So let me ask you a clarifying question then. You just said that you were asked to sign an NDA. Where did that discussion occur?
The NDA came out here. When Mr. Danielson came out here, he said, "Do you want to sign it?" And I said, "Yes, it did."
Where did the discussion occur?
To sign
where,
the NDA? Right here, Mr. Danielson.
Point of order. Please don't interrupt me.
Okay.
Where did the discussion occur where you were asked to sign an NDA in order to see the funds that were distributed to the businesses?
Right here.
No.
It was, Mr. Danielson gave it to me right here.
No, he did not.
He didn't give it to me?
I don't know where he gave it to you. My question was, where was the information in the conversation that was had
Right.
around the council, around Irmo Future Growth disclosing the amounts that were provided to the businesses, to the council, around an NDA, so that council could feel comfortable knowing how much each business got, while at the same time not upsetting businesses because we told them up front that we weren't going to publicly disclose the amounts that they received. Where did that conversation occur?
The conversation occurred right here with Mr. Danielson on this council chamber, on this floor.
That's not true.
That is not true.
Okay, where did it occur?
If we watch every single minute of council video, you will see that that is not on the record. And so if that is the case, there is only one place where that happened, Mr. Mayor, and that was it. I'm sorry, point of order, don't interrupt me. That was an executive session. And so what you just did was talked about something that happened in an executive session on the open floor.
No, that meeting, that NDA was signed right there where Mr. Danielson is sitting. He asked me if I wanted to sign it. I said, sure, I'll sign it right there. It's right there. That's what happened. So my point is, where's the NDA at? Where's the NDA that I signed, the non-disclosure agreement?
You didn't sign it with me?
Well, Mr. Danielson, where is it at? I signed one.
Yeah, it's in the file.
What file?
It's in the Irmo Future Growth file.
Okay, so I did sign it, and
We still need to go back to the
So,
violation of executive session, which you just did.
okay, I did sign the NDA out here in public, and I did not get a copy. I did not get the information I was supposed to get. So when do I get that?
I wasn't, so Mayor, I apologize that you were not given those numbers. In fact, tonight,
Information, right.
that information, tonight, that was the first time that I have been told that you signed that NDA. In fact, in previous conversations, not on the record from the floor, I asked you if you signed it and you said, no, you're not signing it. So I was under the impression that you just had refused to sign it. If you had come to me or emailed me and asked for that information and said that you had signed the NDA, I would have provided it to you.
Okay, well, that didn't happen. I went to the chairman, I signed the NDA, and I haven't gotten the information, so.
Okay. So now that we're done with that point of the conversation, is there any other council member that does not agree that the conversation around the NDA occurred only in executive session? Is there anyone that disagrees with that statement? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any council member here that agrees that any information regarding the $250,000 should not be disclosed to the mayor in the record of the town? What about you, Kelly? Do you agree that it should be disclosed?
I think there was an offer made that if an NDA was signed, which I don't have a copy of that. I don't know if it
Right.
was signed or not signed,
Right.
and that information would be disclosed to you.
Okay, Ms. Wallman, did you have a comment on that? Do you think that they should release that information?
I think that they should follow up on the NDA, but that's it.
I think that's a point of order. Ms. Waldman was not seated on the council at the time.
So you're saying that the NDA that I signed was not signed under council? Is that what you said? I don't understand what you said.
I'm
Tell me
sorry,
what
just
you
let me
said.
just-
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
You're referring to Dr. Waldman's opinion of a meeting that you invited her into, executive session, when she was not seated, which was an issue in itself.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sorry,
Okay, so that
I
was an
think,
issue too?
I think we're at a point where we can probably put this to bed.
Well,
in terms of, I'm just,
hold on a minute.
I think we're on the same.
recognize you yet, okay? So, Mr. Danson, so you're saying that Ms. Wallman, the councilman-elect, who is giving opinion on this issue, was not properly seated, so she should not have been in the executive session. That's what you're saying? Okay. So what else are you trying to hide, all right? No problem. Mr. Sickinger, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we've exceeded our time on something that, at this point, we're going roundabout. I think all of our points have been made. I do think that it's important to note that no one is calling into question the providing you the numbers, and I'm aware that this has been an object of some debate over the last couple of months, and I look forward to it ending.
Looking forward to an end of the debate? Okay. And to get to that end of the debate, what do you think should happen?
I think that depends on how the board of IFGC votes, but hopefully it'll be put to bed very soon.
So you're saying the board will vote on the ending this debate? Okay, thank you. Any more discussion items?
Could I be recognized for?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to state that for the record that I did not sign an NDA, and I don't want the numbers.
You don't want to know?
I don't want to know.
Okay, great. Any more discussion? Well, I thank y'all very much for having this very pleasant discussion, and hopefully we'll get some more answers. Thank you very much. Moving right along, is there executive session? No, we don't have an executive session. And is there a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn this meeting.
All right, it's been properly moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Moralman seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is now adjourned. Thank y'all very much.